By now, you've probably heard a lot about EV batteries, fast charging, long range, and future technologies. But something new has recently emerged that's creating a buzz across the entire auto industry. China's biggest battery company, CATL, is working on a new solid-state battery. This battery could potentially deliver a range of 800 to 1,000 kilometers on a single charge and get almost fully charged in just 10 minutes. This isn't just a small upgrade. It has the potential to completely change the rules of the EV world. But the big question is this really possible, or is it just hype? If this technology actually becomes reality, what will happen to petrol cars? Where will companies like Tesla, BYD, and others stand? And most importantly, is this future really just around the corner, or is there a hidden side to the story that could surprise us? So what exactly is CATL working on, and how could it disrupt the market in the coming years? How might the future of EVs evolve? Before diving deeper, here's an important question. Who exactly is CATL? Because in the EV world, not every company's claims carry the same weight. But when CATL speaks, the entire industry pays attention. CATL stands for Contemporary Amperex Technology Limited. It's a Chinese company and currently one of the largest EV battery manufacturers in the world. But its rise wasn't overnight. Its journey is quite fascinating. The company was founded in 2011 by entrepreneur Robin Zung. Before starting CATL, he was associated with another battery company, ATL, Amperex Technology Limited, which produced mobile phone batteries for brands like Apple. From the very beginning, his focus was on battery technology, and he clearly understood that the future lies in energy storage. As electric vehicles slowly started entering the market, CATL made a timely shift in its strategy. The company realized that EVs were the future, and batteries would be their most critical component. So they invested heavily in research, development, and large-scale production. Initially, CATL worked with local Chinese companies like BYD, NIO, and XPeng. But over time, their technology and reliability improved so much that global companies also started partnering with them. Today, major automakers like Tesla, BMW, Mercedes-Benz, Hyundai, and Volkswagen rely on CATL for batteries. Just think about it. When a company like Tesla, known for its own battery innovation, collaborates with CATL, it clearly shows how strong CATL's capabilities are. Currently, CATL holds more than 35% of the global EV battery market. That means roughly 1 out of every 3 EV batteries in the world is made by them. This isn't just significant. It's clear market leadership. The global EV battery market itself is already worth hundreds of billions of dollars, and CATL is its biggest player. The company's valuation is also extremely high, making it one of the most valuable tech companies in China. But CATL's strength isn't just its size, it's its scale and constant innovation. The company keeps working on new technologies like LFP batteries, sodium-ion batteries, fast-charging solutions, and now even solid-state batteries. Another key advantage is that CATL doesn't just manufacture batteries, it aims to control the entire supply chain, from raw materials to the final product. This allows them to keep costs low and production efficient. That's why CATL often moves ahead of its competitors. While others are still in the testing phase, CATL is already thinking about mass production. This is exactly why, when CATL's CEO talks about new technologies like solid-state batteries, 1,000 kilometers range, or 10-minute charging, people don't dismiss it as just another claim. They understand that CATL operates at a ground level, and if the company is saying something, there's likely real progress behind it. However, that doesn't necessarily mean everything being promised will hit the market immediately. CATL itself admits that bringing any new technology to mass production takes time. Now let's get to the main reason behind all this discussion: solid-state batteries. First, it's important to understand what kind of batteries are currently used in electric cars. Most EVs today run on lithium-ion batteries. Inside these batteries, there's a crucial component called the electrolyte. This is the medium that allows electricity to flow. In simple terms, it helps energy move from one part of the battery to another. In today's batteries, this electrolyte is in liquid form. You can think of it as a fluid pathway through which ions travel, similar to how something moves through water. However, this liquid electrolyte also comes with certain drawbacks. The first major issue is safety. Since the liquid is often flammable, the risk of fire increases if the battery overheats or gets damaged. You might have heard about EV fire incidents. This liquid component is one of the reasons behind many of them. The second issue is efficiency and stability. Because the electrolyte is liquid, controlling the internal chemical reactions becomes more challenging, especially during fast charging or high-performance usage. This is where solid-state batteries come into the picture. As the name suggests, instead of a liquid electrolyte, these batteries use a solid one. That means the pathway for ions is no longer fluid. It's more like a solid structure. To understand this better, imagine traveling from one place to another. If the path is filled with water, you have to move carefully, and the journey can be unstable. But if that same path becomes a strong, smooth road, movement becomes faster, easier, and more controlled. That's essentially the difference between liquid and solid electrolytes. A solid electrolyte creates a more stable and efficient pathway for ions to move. Because of this, solid-state batteries offer several potential advantages. First is safety. Without a flammable liquid, the chances of fire are significantly reduced. Even in cases of overheating or physical damage, the battery remains comparatively more stable. The second advantage is higher energy density. In simple terms, more energy can be stored in the same size battery. This means EVs could travel much longer distances on a single charge. The third benefit is faster charging. Since the solid electrolyte is more stable, it could allow batteries to charge quickly without causing as much damage. But there's an important reality check here. While these benefits sound impressive, they are mostly proven at the theoretical or lab level. Bringing them into real-world usage is much more difficult. One big challenge is material durability. Solid electrolytes can sometimes be brittle, meaning they may crack over time. If that happens, the battery's performance and lifespan can be affected. Another challenge is manufacturing. Producing solid-state batteries requires highly precise and advanced processes, which makes them more expensive compared to traditional lithium-ion batteries. That's why, despite years of research, solid-state batteries haven't yet been fully commercialized. Now let's talk about the most hyped claims: 1,000-mile range and 10-minute charging. At first glance, it sounds incredible, but it's important to understand what it means in real-world terms. A 1,000-mile range is roughly 1,600 kilometers. Currently, most electric cars, especially in markets like the US, offer around 250 to 350 miles, about 400 to 600 kilometers, on a single charge. Some premium models go a bit higher, but this is the general range. So when companies talk about a future 1,000-mile range, it doesn't mean every EV will suddenly achieve that in everyday use. These numbers are usually based on ideal conditions: steady speed, perfect temperature, flat roads, and highly efficient driving. In real-life situations, factors like traffic, air conditioning, speed variations, and driving habits always reduce the range. So even if a battery is rated for 1,000 miles, the actual usable range might be closer to 700 to 800 miles. Still, That would be a massive improvement compared to today. And there's another important point to consider here. There are basically two ways to increase the range of an electric vehicle. The first is to increase the battery capacity, meaning store more energy. The second is to improve efficiency, so the car can travel a longer distance using less energy. Solid-state batteries have the potential to help in both areas, which is why these big claims aren't completely unrealistic. However, the real challenge lies in building such large-capacity batteries while keeping them lightweight and affordable. That's not easy at all. Now let's talk about the 10-minute charging claim. This is the part that grabs even more attention, because even today, EVs take a noticeable amount of time to charge. With fast chargers, it typically takes around 20 to 30 minutes to reach 80% charge, and that too under ideal conditions. In reality, charging can be slower due to factors like weaker chargers or battery heating, which reduces charging speed further. So how can 10-minute charging become possible? The idea is that the battery chemistry must be able to safely handle very high power. Solid-state batteries may have this capability because they are more stable compared to liquid-based ones. But the biggest challenge here is heat. Fast charging generates a lot of heat inside the battery. If this heat isn't managed properly, it can damage the battery or create safety risks. The second major challenge is infrastructure. To enable 10-minute charging, extremely high-power charging stations would be required, and those are not widely available today. Supplying that much power and managing the load on the electrical grid is a significant challenge in itself. The third factor is battery life. If ultra-fast charging is used repeatedly, it can lead to faster battery degradation. Over time, this means the battery's range will start to decrease. That's why companies always try to strike a balance between charging speed and long-term durability. Now, everything we've discussed so far, solid-state batteries, 1,000-mile range, and 10-minute charging, sounds very exciting. But like any new technology, there's another side to the story that often doesn't get much attention. And once you understand that, the full picture becomes much clearer. Let's start with manufacturing. Creating something in a lab is one thing, but producing it at scale for millions of vehicles is a completely different challenge. With solid-state batteries, this is one of the biggest hurdles. They require extremely precise and complex manufacturing processes. In traditional batteries with liquid electrolytes, filling materials is relatively easier. But in solid-state batteries, forming the electrolyte perfectly and ensuring proper contact with the electrodes is much more difficult. Even small imperfections like uneven surface contact or microscopic cracks can reduce performance or cause the battery to fail earlier than expected. This is one of the main reasons why many companies haven't yet been able to fully commercialize solid-state batteries. The second major factor is cost. Any new technology starts off expensive, but in the case of solid-state batteries, cost is a particularly big challenge. Advanced materials, highly precise manufacturing, and low initial production volumes all contribute to making these batteries very expensive right now. And if the battery is expensive, the overall cost of the car will also go up. In the EV market, pricing plays a crucial role. People are more likely to switch only when the technology feels practical and affordable. If solid-state EVs are too costly, adoption could slow down. Next comes durability. How long the battery can maintain good performance. In theory, solid-state batteries are considered more stable, but in real-world conditions, several challenges arise. For example, during charging and discharging cycles, materials inside the battery expand and contract. If this movement isn't properly managed, it can lead to cracks, which reduces performance over time. There's also another issue known as dendrites. These are tiny metallic structures that can form inside the battery and potentially cause short circuits. Controlling dendrite formation is still a major area of research in solid-state battery development. Finally, temperature is another critical factor. A battery's performance is highly dependent on temperature, and both extreme heat and extreme cold can negatively impact how it works. This issue isn't new. It already exists in current liquid electrolyte batteries. But in solid-state batteries, it can become even more noticeable because many of the materials used don't perform well in low temperatures. That means in colder regions, like the northern parts of the US or Canada, battery efficiency can drop. On the other hand, in extremely hot conditions, the cooling system has to work much harder to maintain performance. Another hidden challenge is scalability. Let's say a company successfully creates a perfect solid-state battery in a lab. The real question is, can it produce millions of those batteries with the same level of quality? That's a huge challenge, especially since EV demand is growing rapidly, and keeping up with that demand isn't easy. Then comes integration. Building the battery alone isn't enough. It needs to be safely fitted into the car, properly connected with the thermal management system, and fully compatible with the charging system. All of these factors are equally important. So, while solid-state battery technology looks very promising, it also comes with serious challenges. This isn't just a simple upgrade, it's more like transforming the entire battery ecosystem. That's why companies are moving forward cautiously. Big claims are being made, but a full-scale rollout could still take time. Now let's come to one of the most interesting questions. If solid-state batteries actually become a reality, what impact will they have on companies like Tesla, BYD, and others? The EV industry is already highly competitive, and whoever leads in technology will likely dominate the market. Starting with Tesla, it's still considered one of the most advanced companies in terms of technology and software. Its supercharger network is already well established, and its cars are known for their efficiency. Tesla's strategy has mainly focused on improving existing lithium-ion batteries, reducing costs, and scaling production. But if a company like CATL achieves a major breakthrough in solid-state batteries and that technology quickly reaches Tesla's competitors, things could get challenging for Tesla. Right now, Tesla's biggest strengths are range and charging infrastructure. If other companies start offering 800 to 1,000-mile range along with ultra-fast charging, Tesla's competitive edge could shrink. That said, Tesla is not the kind of company that sits still. It's heavily investing in battery innovation, including its 4680 cells and other future technologies. So it's very likely that Tesla will adapt, either by adopting solid-state batteries or developing an alternative solution. Now let's talk about BYD, one of the fastest-growing EV companies in China. One of BYD's biggest strengths is its vertical integration. It manufactures everything from batteries to cars in-house. Its Blade battery is already known for strong safety and cost efficiency. If CATL successfully commercializes solid-state batteries, BYD will have two choices: either adopt CATL's technology or develop its own version. Given BYD's ability to move quickly and control costs, it could potentially bring this technology to the mass market faster than many competitors. Looking at other automakers like Toyota, Volkswagen, and Hyundai, they have also been working on solid-state batteries for years. Toyota, in particular, has been promising a major breakthrough in this space for quite some time. At this point, the competition is no longer just about cars. It has become a race in battery technology. The company that can deliver better range, faster charging, and lower costs will take the lead. Another important angle is the growing influence of battery manufacturers. Companies like CATL, LG Energy Solution, and Panasonic have become extremely powerful. Many car manufacturers depend heavily on them. If CATL becomes the first to scale solid-state batteries successfully, it won't just remain a supplier, it could become a key decision-maker in the industry. It could influence which companies get access to the technology first, at what price, and in what quantity. This means that in the future, power in the EV industry won't just lie with car manufacturers, but also with battery companies. Now comes the most practical question. When will this technology actually reach the market? Will we see it around 2026 to 2027, or will it take until after 2030? The reality is, there's often a gap between what companies announce and what actually becomes available. Right now, CATL, Toyota, and others are actively working on solid-state batteries, but the technology is still not fully ready for mass production. If we look at it realistically, we might start seeing early versions of this technology around 2026 to 2027, but they will be limited. In the beginning, they'll likely appear in premium cars, testing programs, or very high-end segments. This is how most new technologies enter the market, first in luxury products, and then gradually move toward more affordable options. The real transformation is expected between 2028 and 2030. By then, manufacturing processes will improve, costs will come down, and companies will be more confident about launching these batteries at a larger scale. So in simple terms, this technology is definitely coming, but not overnight. It will enter the market gradually, step by step. Now let's talk about the real-life impact. If these batteries actually become common, how will our everyday lives change? The biggest difference will be in long-distance travel. Right now, taking an EV on a long trip requires careful planning. Where to charge, how long it will take, and when to stop. But with a range of 800 to 1,000 miles, many long journeys could be completed on a single charge. For example, trips like Los Angeles to Las Vegas or Delhi to Jaipur could be done without multiple charging stops. The second major change is reduced charging anxiety. If EVs can charge in just 10 to 15 minutes, the experience will start to feel very similar to refueling a petrol car. You stop briefly, charge, and continue your journey without long waiting times. The third impact is overall convenience. Right now, many people hesitate to switch to EVs because they feel it might disrupt their daily routine. But with this kind of technology, using an EV would feel just as normal and effortless as driving a petrol car today. Now, let's talk about cost. Even today, EVs already offer lower fuel costs. If batteries become more efficient and last longer, the overall cost of ownership could drop even further. That means lower maintenance, less frequent charging, and more savings in the long run. However, it's important to keep expectations realistic. In the beginning, these cars are likely to be expensive. Every new technology starts off costly and becomes more affordable over time.